Hola, this is the Wednesday Night Delight, Johnny Mundo, and you're listening to In Your Head.
All right, and welcome to In Your Head Wrestling Radio. I am the internet icon, the pride of the pilgrims, handsome Jackie Jones. I don't know where my right-hand man is. He's having some technical problems, but I'm joined by Ken Anderson, multiple-time champion. He's been everywhere. Now he's a trainer. He's got a lot to talk about. How you doing?
That's Mr. Anderson to you.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Mr. Anderson.
Keep that thing straight. No, I'm good. I'm fantastic. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's awesome. It's a pleasure to have you here. So you want to tell everybody about the Academy? When did it start, and how can you find it?
It's sort of something that we've been kicking around. I've been kicking it around for a few years, actually, and it was just something I kind of dragged my heels on. I saw a vacuum here in the Twin Cities. When I first started out in the business, Minneapolis and St. Paul were, it was a breeding ground for a lot of superstars. I mean, just from when I was from when I got started in the business, you've got Davari, me, ODB, Austin Aries, all came out of Minneapolis. We used to ride together and do shows all together. Colt Cabana, CM Punk, and there really is nothing here right now. There are no wrestling schools. There were a few. Terry Fox had a gym here. Terry Fox trained like Austin Aries and Davari initially, but he just sort of would, get a couple students in the summertime and run it. And then, nothing very, very structured. And I wanted to have a location where everybody can kind of do everything under one roof. And that's, wrestling encompasses athleticism. It's more than just what you do in the ring. It's your ability to look at the camera and speak to the camera, to create a connection. It's character development. It's all about your body. There's a certain amount of bodybuilding that's involved, which comes back to nutrition. And so we want to just have a place where we can, basically make a wrestler factory. And that's sort of what we put together.
Yeah. And even, you mentioned a bunch of people there that, are current names in wrestling, but Minneapolis wrestling goes back, years before that too. So Rick,
yeah, you've got Jesse, Jesse Ventura, you've got Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat came out of here. Hulk Hogan came out of here. You got, I believe the Nasty Boys were trained here at Brad Rangan's school.
Mm-hmm.
You got Sean Waltman, X-Pac, Jerry Lynn. I mean, the list is just endless.
Yeah. Now, before I go, yeah, cool. Before we go into more of the wrestling, the school, what are the guys you grew up watching?
The interesting thing is I didn't grow up watching wrestling.
Oh, really? Okay.
I didn't get into wrestling until I was in my 20s, until the Attitude Era. I really, fell in love with just that whole time. Steve Austin and The Rock and DX and all that stuff. And then I realized, oh, man, I've been missing out for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I fell for the business, I felt hard. And then I got in the ring for the first time, and I fell in love again. I was like, man, this feels like home. I need to be here. This is something that I need to do. And it was something that encompassed all the things that I loved. I was into sports, and I was into bodybuilding, and I was into acting. And it was like all of those things under one roof.
Mm-hmm. So, you said talk about teaching all those things in the school. What do you think some of the younger guys today or the new guys starting out sometimes lack? Or need help on?
To me, it's the small things. It's the small things. It's fundamentals. It's guys are worried about, and I was there. I wanted to do moonsaults and all that stuff and dives off the top rope and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. It's fun. It's fun to watch and it's fun to do. But it's sort of slowing down and it's figuring out how to tell a story. how to make a connection with the crowd. And sometimes it's really hard. You know, people see you do like a 450 or some crazy flippy flop, and they can't relate to it because they've never done that. Like, they've never given somebody a flying head scissors in a bar fight.
Right.
But everybody knows what it's like, you know, some guy spits in another guy's face or says something about his woman or whatever. Like, every guy generally knows, like, oh, I know exactly what I would do if somebody did that to me. You know, it's dumbing things down, I think, and slowing down. So that's what I hope to kind of bring to the table, or what we hope to bring to the table. And the other thing, too, is that there are no correct answers in the business. You know, I'm going to have a different take on things than Dabari. Mm-hmm. Dabari's going to have a different take on things than Molly Holly, so on and so forth. Everybody has their own unique experiences, and it doesn't mean that they're wrong. They're just different. Mm-hmm. And we hope to offer, with our guest trainers and those kinds of things, you know, we really hope to offer a complete package and make sure that our students are well-rounded.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's really true today, because there's a lot of people on TV that I think, you know, maybe 10 years ago or so, it would have been guys like, oh, that guy can't make it, or that guy, you know, doesn't have a certain look or whatever. But wrestling's a lot different than it was just a few years ago.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. You know, years ago, it was, when I first got into the business, it was like, you're not big enough. You're not big enough. Everybody had to be big. WWE wouldn't look at you if you weren't 6'1" and over, and, you know, 235 pounds. If you were a small guy, you had no chance of ever making it in the business. Mm-hmm. Or making it past a certain level, and now that's been blown out of the water. Mm-hmm. And it's fantastic because you get people of all shapes and sizes, and wrestling is like Baskin-Robbins ice cream. It's like a buffet. You know, you can sample a little bit of everything. There's something for everyone. In the course of a 2 or a 3 hour broadcast, you will see something that will appeal to you. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you see a lot that appeals to you, because you know, like me, I like a lot of different things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the most fun. Really, like you mentioned the attitude. I watched wrestling since I was a kid, but that was really kind of spoiled you as a wrestling fan during that era, because there was so many different styles. It was, you know, some older guys coming from like the territory days, and you had the rise of like the super juniors and the cruiserweights, and there was just so many different things going on.
Yeah, it was just a really exciting time, and I think that this today is a very exciting time to be in the business too, mm-hmm. to be a part of the business, because you've got NXT, you've got Ring of Honor, you've got TNA, and it's just New Japan, and there are tons of places, tons of great independents to work for around the world. Mm-hmm. Now you go to the UK, and they've got something like 32 wrestling promotions in the UK. So country, or an area the size of the state of Florida, 32 wrestling promotions.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, if you want to go over there, you could make a living just doing independent wrestling over there. You could wrestle 4 or 5 days a week, and there's a guy over there named Ligero who does just that. He's the hardest working guy in the world today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just noticed on your it was on your Facebook, I think it was you just came from Iraq.
Yes, sir. Yes, we. This is our second year in a row. We've been working with Armed Forces Entertainment, and we put together a little group of wrestlers who go over to various bases in the Middle East and just try to entertain the troops and, you know, bring a little piece of America over there. Mm-hmm. So it's a really rewarding experience. Last year we went to Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, and Qatar. And this year we went to Iraq and Kuwait. We spent some like 13, 14 days over there, toured a bunch of different military bases, just try to put smiles on people's faces. And honestly, when we leave, you know, our goal is to try to make people happy put smiles on their faces. But we end up leaving, I think, we get more out of it than they do, I think.
Yeah.
But
when you say that, do you present a slightly different show when you're performing for that type of audience than you would, at any other show?
Just slightly. Well, the thing is over there, we're not wrestling. The tours that we've done for Armed Forces Entertainment, we literally just go in, we visit the base, we go around, they kind of show us what they do, we talk with them, we eat with them, and then at night, or at some point during the day, all of us sit down in a large room in an auditorium or something like that, and we give a presentation, and it's just an open Q&A session, basically, and we just tell stories about how we got into the business and, what we've experienced while we've been in the business, and it's a really fun time. There's a lot of laughs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, both times I've come home and my stomach and my throat hurt from laughing so much. And it's just, it like adds 5 years onto your life.
Yeah, that's very cool. So you mentioned, England, and what are some of the places you have wrestled in, and that you're surprised that wrestling has brought you to different countries?
Well, everywhere. I'm surprised that I've been able to do what I've done in the business. Just a guy from a small town in Wisconsin who had a dream, who's been to wrestle in about 50 different countries and all 50 states. I've been to Korea, I've been to the Philippines, I've wrestled in Japan, Mexico, South America, North America, Australia. I mean, it's just New Zealand. So it's just, it's hard to imagine that I would do that. If somebody told me when I was a little kid, this is what you're going to do, I would have told that person that they were crazy, but I'm fortunate to have done it.
Yeah. Now, you do the show, you do the Wrestling Academy with Davari. How long have you known Davari, and what's your relationship like?
We have known that, well, we're best friends. We've been so for about the last 15 or 16 years. I met Davari when he was 17 years old. And I realized that he had the same passion that I did. And we started traveling a lot together.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would try to get him booked on shows. And if he was on a show, he would try to get me booked, and so on and so forth. And so, when he got hired by the WWE first. And I was the first guy that he called and said, "Hey, I just want to let you know you're the first guy that I'm calling. Dr. Tom just hired me."
Mm-hmm.
And I started being so happy. And the funny thing was, I was at Target visiting my girlfriend at the time. She worked at Target. I remember I got off the phone, and I was just like, Davari just got hired by the WWE. And she looked at me with these sad puppy dog eyes, and she said, "Oh, are you okay?" I went, "Am I okay? What do you mean?" She's like, "Well, I know, he got there before you did." I was like, "Are you crazy? That's my best friend. He's freaking killing it. He just got hired by the WWE. I'm not sad. I'm happy for him."
Mm-hmm.
And I knew right then and there that was not the woman for me. So, but yeah, we've known each other for so long. We sort of went our separate ways. We always sort of missed each other. We got to travel together a little bit right when I started in the WWE, but he went to a different brand, and then he left the company, and then he went to TNA, and I think I missed him by 2 weeks. So he left TNA 2 weeks before I got there. We just always kind of missed each other. And he was living out in San Diego, and I was living in New York City, and then we ended up eventually migrating back to the Midwest, Minneapolis. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Dude, I want to start a wrestling school, man. I'm trying to look at, I'm 40 years old now. I have to start looking at what am I going to do long term. Mm-hmm. I don't want to wrestle. I don't want to fall down for the rest of my life. So, what can we do?" And I enjoy helping others. He enjoys helping others. We've got a wealth of knowledge, I think, both from our successes and our failures. And I hope that our students are going to be able to learn from our failures, the things that we did wrong. Mm-hmm. Like a parent, hey, I've been there. This is what happens. Don't do this. Mm-hmm. So that's basically our story.
Yeah, along those lines too. About did you learn how to things to do and not to do from different people that trained you? Like stuff that hey, this really helped me. This didn't help me, and this kind of I could do without. Like who are the guys that you look to that were trainers that you kind of emulate?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, first and foremost, two guys that broke me into the business were Mike Mercury and Eric Hammers, two guys from the Midwest, and they never made it onto the national scene. But I look back, and it's amazing how much they knew and how much they still know about the business, the workings of the business, and how to tell a story in a match and things like that. So we had. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm getting like some feedback or something.
Okay, we have a caller on the line. That's probably why. But go on.
Gotcha. But one of the things that I think that I try to learn from everybody. When I would go to WWE as an extra, I would go eat food in catering, go get my gear on, get my shorts, my tennis shoes, and the knee pads on, put my head up by the ring, and just sit there. And in hopes that I could get in the ring and learn something from Fitz Finley, from Arn Anderson, from Ricky Steamboat, from those guys. So, it's hard to just sort of narrow down and say, like, this one trainer helps me.
Sure.
Because it was everybody. Brad Rangans, Brock Lesnar actually hooked me up with Brad Rangans. One time I went to WWE tryout and got to talking to Brock, and Brock saw what I was doing in the ring and said, man, I think you got something. And he got me in contact with Brad Rangans, and I ended up going to Brad's camp for about 6 months. And it was sort of like a polishing. He taught me a lot of little things that really took me to the next level.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever try to shoot with Brock at all?
Did I ever try to shoot with him?
Yeah, with Brock Lesnar.
You think I'm that stupid? I'm not as stupid as I look.
Fair enough. Right. Dave from New York. What's your question? Dave.
Hey, Ken. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, man. I just want to tell you, I really enjoyed your work in WWE and especially in TNA, and I thought you were very underutilized in that organization.
I appreciate you saying that's kind. It's very kind to say. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Now, Ken, what I wanted to ask you, just your personal take. A lot of rumors running around that TNA may get bought out by WWE. For somebody who's sort of on the outside now, so to speak, but who's been on the inside before, what are your overall thoughts on where you think it's going to go? Because I think it'll be a huge black eye for the business if WWE buys the TNA library or et cetera. There are so many. If there was nowhere else to go right now, if it was just WWE and TNA like it was years ago, I would be more sort of leery or worried about it. But there's Ring of Honor, the viable alternative. New Japan is really making strides to be a viable alternative. There are some other things that are sort of in the works that I don't think a lot of people know about. But, I always want to have as many places to go work as possible. It's give the boys a little bit of leverage. And if WWE is the only game, then there is no competition, and the product gets stale, and the company can literally just dictate whatever they want to you, and you have no control over your creativity and stuff like that. So that's not a good thing. But I think right now, if WWE happens to buy TNA, I'm not super worried about it.
Thanks for calling in, Dave. Any chance of
Thanks, Jake.
any chance of you ever going back to TNA?
Yeah, I mean, just never say never in the wrestling business. Never say never in life. It's, I think, highly unlikely at this point, given the way that we've parted company. But, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. The thing is that I have a ton of friends that still work there, and I'm not into bad-mouthing
Sure.
an organization because, like I said, I got friends that work there.
Yeah.
And I got friends that work in the office as well as talent on the roster.
And potentially, yeah.
But,
and you have a school, you potentially, you train guys, that's a place where they could go and work too.
Sure, absolutely.
See, caller on the line, I'm not sure the name. You're in the chat. I see you in the chat room saying that you're calling in and you couldn't get in. You're on the air now. Speak. All right. Well, thanks for calling in.
Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Now, I heard John Morrison say you do a great Steve Austin impression.
I don't know what you're talking about, kid.
Who were some of the guys that you had the most fun traveling with?
Oh, wow. With Davari, obviously. I traveled with Punk for a while. We had fun. Matt Hardy and Shane Helms, I traveled with those guys for about, seemed like forever, 2-3 years. Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian. At one point, it was every week, it was Christopher Daniels, Frankie Kazarian, AJ Styles, Gunner, and I would get a van, and we would travel when I was in TNA. That was some fun times. And, just a super, super positive group of guys, always positive, always had fun, always went out and busted our tails. And, we would we would travel from town to town, we'd wrestle, we'd go to the gym, we'd eat, we go to bed. That was it. It wasn't like a crazy lifestyle where we were going out and partying every night. It's a real positive environment to be around.
Yeah.
So.
You mentioned Matt Hardy. What are your thoughts on the Delete storylines and matches?
I honestly, I think it's great because
I'm a big fan. So.
At first I was leery because I was like, well, it's that bad acting, intentional bad acting,
right.
it's like Resident Evil. I'm sure some of us have played Resident Evil, and it was like they hired people to intentionally give a bad voice acting, and they wanted it to be like a really bad B movie. That was their intention, and that's sort of the way that it is. And I sort of, when it first came out, I thought, well, wrestling is already guilty unintentionally of having bad actors. Like, wrestlers are not
right.
But when you see almost everybody get in the ring and cut a promo, it does not sound like it's coming out of their mouth. It does not sound like it's coming out of their brain. It sounds like they're reading it off a piece of paper. And so I was leery about it at first, but then I watched the Final Deletion. It was like 17 minutes long or whatever, where Matt and Jeff had that fight. And I was just, it was so far-fetched that it was awesome. It was like Evil Dead. Awesome. It was like, what was Peter Jackson's first movie? It was like a horror movie.
Dead Alive.
Dead Alive. It was
a huge fan of that movie.
Yeah, it's just fantastic.
Yeah, a cheap plug.
And he's having a ton of fun with it, and he got to reinvent himself. It was something that he had sort of thought about for a long time. And in the business, creative is always saying, like, hey, come to us with ideas. Give us ideas. We want to help you, help us. Help us help you, kind of thing. And a lot of times ideas are shot down. And so the fact that he was able to say, here's my idea. It's freaking crazy. It's way out on a limb, but this is it. And they said, okay, well, give it a shot. And obviously it's been successful.
Yeah. Yeah, it caught a huge buzz. I mean, even people didn't like it or was talking about it. But I agree with you actually 100%. It's because that's what kind of like I like about wrestling to begin with. It is its own weird little thing, and I think if I would have heard about it before watching it, I'd probably think, oh my god, that sounds awful. But I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is fantastic.
You know, wrestling to me is like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Mm-hmm.
Where people have watched the Rocky Horror Picture Show hundreds of times, and they go to the theater and they bring all these little props with them, and when the people on screen say let's have a toast, they throw toast at the screen, and when the people get married, they throw rice, and they have like certain things that people shout out at different parts of the movie. It's crowd interaction,
mm-hmm.
and that's what I love about wrestling is it's interactive. And it's silly, it's goofy. Sometimes it takes you on the roller coaster of emotions. Sometimes you get two guys that do such a good job of sucking you in and really, really making you believe that these two people don't like each other. And there's some real issues, and you get emotionally invested into it. And there's other times where you see something that's just Keystone Cops crazy, funny.
Mm-hmm.
Benny Hill, like Saturday Night Live, it makes you laugh. Right? That's what I love about wrestling. There's so many different ways you can go. Mm-hmm. And when you get bored with something, we'll go over here and check this out. Mm-hmm. It's like playing Grand Theft Auto. I'm tired of playing missions for a while. I'm gonna go fly planes up for a while and do stunt jumps.
Exactly. Cheap plug for my other website. I interview horror movie people, and I had Tim Baum on from Dead Alive. It's a great interview. The star of Dead Alive from New Zealand.
Nice. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it was really cool. Are you a horror movie fan? Because you mentioned a couple very cult horror movies there.
I am. I haven't really seen any really, really good horror movies in a while, and it kind of bums me out actually, because I think the last really, really, really good horror movie that I saw was Saw, the original Saw. Mm-hmm. That was just like really creative. So I'm dying for somebody to give me, what's a great horror movie that's come out in the last year or so.
Yeah, I was like I really liked Hold Your Breath or Don't Breathe. I'm sorry, Don't Breathe that came out a few weeks ago, but it's more like a thriller. There's not a lot of that. I mean, that comes up all the time when we're talking about with horror fans. Is that's why people still love Freddy and Jason and Leatherface and all the classics.
Yeah, I want something that really scares me, or that gives you that really uncomfortable feeling. And I think that's what Saw gave you. It's like these guys have these two options, and they're both horrible options. Like, well, how would I? You sort of like put yourself in that motion, like in that moment. What would I do? I think I saw a movie just recently where I can't think of the name of it. It's where the writer buys a house, and the house was where they hung like a whole family, and he goes up in the attic and he finds like this reel or it turns out like there's this serial killer had killed like all sorts of families throughout the country, and he had videotaped each one. It was like he killed the whole family together. Some people he like tied them to lawn chairs and pushed them all in the pool and drowned them all. And another one. Did that ring a bell to you at all?
Yeah, I definitely know the movie, and I can't remember the name. It's one word. Sinister. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of got me. And it was like I was watching it at like 2 a.m. I couldn't sleep. I had the lights off. I was watching it on my iPad, and it was sort of like that was the one where it kind of got my heart rate up a little bit. That's what I'm looking for. That kind of make my heart race a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you should see Don't Breathe. I do recommend Don't Breathe. It's a good movie. But
I'll check it out.
Yeah. What do you do for Halloween?
Halloween, not a whole lot. Actually, the last couple of years, I've been wrestling on Halloween.
Okay.
The last about 15 years, I've been doing something wrestling related for Halloween. But I do love Halloween. It was my favorite holiday, or my second favorite holiday when I was a kid. Christmas, obviously, being, I don't know. Thanksgiving's pretty damn awesome, too. Football and food. Uh-huh. But No, it definitely. I love Halloween. I can't wait. I get kids now. Can't wait for them to start.
Dressing.
Right now, Mom and Dad tell them, "Here's what you're gonna wear for Halloween."
Right.
Can't wait to have that where you can ask them like, "What do you want to be for Halloween?" You can be anything you want, and watch them be creative and come up with their own costumes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
That was one of the things that my parents did as a kid. Was we were never to buy. We would never go out and buy like a whole outfit. We would always have to make it ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun.
Do you remember any that stand out to you that you created?
Yeah, one year I went as Freddy Krueger. I was in 5th grade.
Nice. I
remember I went out and I found a pair of corduroy pants, and I took them outside and I roughed them up and I shredded them up a little bit, got them all dirty, and then I found the green and red striped sweater, and I took a glove, like a work glove, and some cardboard, and I covered I made little blades, and I covered those in aluminum foil, and I remember for my face, because he had a burned face, I don't know why I thought of this, but I took masking tape, and I sort of like put it on my face and sort of crinkled it up in areas and just sort of put that all over my face, and then I took like red lipstick, my mom's red lipstick, and I colored in certain parts, and it actually looked really good on the hat and everything. So
that sounds awesome. And speaking of horror movies you mentioned Saw, I do have to bring this up. Did you ever hear Bob Hawley talk about you on a U-Shoot from Kayfabe Commentaries? It's like really insane. He said that he wanted to like take you out in the woods and put toothpicks, and it's this big long thing, and like set you on fire and pull out your eyes. And
what's funny is we had some heat for a while. It was bad heat, and we've talked since then. We're friends again, and everything's kosher. Like, I love Bob.
All right, I like.
We're just mad at each other, and that's the way he dealt with his anger, and I dealt with it in a different way.
All right.
So.
Yeah, well, good thing you didn't go out in the woods with him when you had the bad heat.
Yeah,
it might have been a bad time for either of you. I don't know, but yeah, I want to ask this because I saw this on Wikipedia that it was like some names, alternate names that you've used. Two Rivers and Mr. Cameltone.
Two Rivers Jack was the first.
Jack, okay.
Two Rivers Jack was. So I started out. My trainer, Mike Mercury, gave me the name Kamikaze Ken. So I started using that. That was my first night that I wrestled was Kamikaze Ken. And I literally sold, I'm not exaggerating, like 300 tickets to my first show. I went out and like I knew everybody in my hometown. They all wanted to come. They came to watch the show. Friends, family, parents, sister. And then the next night I went work for a promoter down in Whitewater, Wisconsin, in front of about, I think there were 50 people in an armory, and he sort of was like, this guy just came in the business. We don't want him getting a big head, so you got to pay your dues, kid. Your name is Two Rivers Jack, and you get no music, and you get one piece of offense that the guy's going to no-sell, and then you're going to get beat, and that's going to be it. So I did that, and that was Two Rivers Jack. So it was just one time. And then the Mr. Cameltoe thing was, I think, John Cena called me Mr. Cameltoe.
Okay.
In the promo,
All right. So. Yeah. So yeah, let's ask a couple questions. What was that?
Cena's got some toilet humor sometimes.
Yeah.
That was what that was.
Speaking of that, because this guy asked, how did you enjoy the asshole gimmick in TNA? And I always wondered how, like, why wasn't that ever bleeped? It was, it's like modified on the shirt, but you could just say it on TV.
Right. So, first of all, when I was in OVW, I came up with Nice Guys Finish Last. Actually, the Nice Guys Finish Last thing was like way before I got to OVW. I just started saying that nice guys finish last. When I read cut a promo, I would kind of stick that in there. And then I got to OVW and I started using the nice guys finish last. Thank God I'm an asshole. And so like I was doing that in practice and people were laughing about it. And they would, start calling me asshole, stuff like that. It would be my peers because we would wrestle in the ring every day at practice. We'd get in there, we'd cut a promo, and then we would do a match, and it would just be other people from the camp, the other wrestlers and stuff. And so they would have to play the audience. You're only playing to about 20 or 30 men and women, but they would try to be as loud as possible and really play the role of the audience. And so they yell at me. Asshole became, it wasn't a pejorative. It was like a term of endearment.
Right.
And so then when I got to WWE, I had a meeting with Vince, and he asked me, he said, do you have any catchphrases? And I said, yeah. And I told him, and he said, well, you can't use that, because it was right as WWE was starting to go PG.
Yeah.
And so he said, wait, I can't have you say that on TV. I just can't do it. And then for WrestleMania, remember Michael Hayes came up to me and said, I want you to have, after you win the Money in the Bank, you're going to go back to the curtain, you're going to cut a promo, and I want you to have your Austin 316. This is your Austin 316 moment. Think about that. And I made the mistake of asking permission to say that line. Nice guys finish last, thank God I'm an asshole. Mm-hmm. And they, nope, can't say it. So the thing is, it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission, right? Because if you ask for permission, they say, no, you can't do it. You just can't do it. Even if you're successful, they're going to be pissed at you because you did something that they specifically told you not to do. But if you go out there and you say it and it bonds, hey, I'm sorry, that was what I had at the time. I just popped into my head. I said it. I shouldn't have said it. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. If it's successful, though, it's the greatest thing ever. Austin 316 says, I just whipped your ass. That was something off the top of his head. And we know where that went.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I wasn't allowed to say it. I ended up saying, nice guy finished last. Thank God I'm Mr. Kennedy, which was stupid. But then I got to TNA, and they were like, here's some bullet points, but you can say whatever you want. Just say whatever you want, whenever you want, and within reason. Just make sure, here's where we want to go. Get there in your own words. And for the longest time, for a really long time, for about 2 years, a lot of my promos on TNA, on Impact Wrestling, were Paul Heyman promos. Because I would call him and say, here's what they gave me. Here's what I'm thinking. What do you think? And we would collaborate together. Sometimes he would just straight up say this. And I would go and I would kind of put my own spin on it, and then I would go and say, people don't know that. And then one day I went out and I had an opportunity where it fit, and I said, nice guys finish last, thank God I'm an asshole. And then Vince Russo heard that, and then he wrote in the script something where I would say, hey, Jeff Hardy has his fans, he calls them creatures of the night. I got my fans, I call them Anderson's assholes. And right as I said that, it was a live backstage interview. So the crowd was seeing what I was saying, and they could hear what I was saying. And they immediately started chanting, we are assholes. We are assholes. And it was awesome. It was like, if I had been able to do that in WWE with that kind of, it could have really taken off. I mean, marketing-wise, T-shirts.
Yeah. And
then TNA went to Spike, and they said, hey, they got it blessed. I was the only guy on the roster that was allowed to use the word asshole or to swear at all, for that matter. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, when John Gabor came in, he said, I don't want you saying that anymore. It's lowbrow, take the high road, which I disagree with, but he's the boss, so, if I just wish I would have had the WWE marketing machine behind that. I think we could have gotten a lot more mileage out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you, though, about the disagreement with and this is not a knock on wrestling, because I've watched it my whole life, but wrestling is never going to be like highbrow entertainment. So,
No,
you know what I mean?
exactly.
Yeah. So, why?
Exactly.
Why
Not that we always have to cater to the lowest common denominator,
Right. Mm-hmm.
but these are not freaking, Lawrence Krauss and Steven Pinker and, who's the guy in the wheelchair, the scientist, astrophysicist?
I know exactly what you mean, but yeah.
Stephen Hawking.
There you go.
Stephen Hawking is not watching wrestling every Monday night. They're just not doing it.
Right.
I guarantee it.
Exactly. Well, I want to thank you for coming on, and I want everyone to go and check out your wrestling school. We'll have all the links up on the website, but it's theacademyprowrestling.com. There's a Facebook page, and there's an email, theacademyprowrestling@gmail.com. You can email. And for people that were interested in training there, what level of trainee do you guys accept? Is it totally just beginners, or people that've been in it for a little bit and want to improve at different things?
We take everybody.
Mm-hmm.
We take everybody. We take people who have never stepped foot in a wrestling ring to people who are veterans, independent veterans, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
We feel that the type of environment that we're offering, there's something for everybody. And you always continue to learn in the business. I'm still learning things. I just was on a show in England with Scott Hall and sat in the locker room and just listened to him tell stories and come back from my match. And he would say, hey, man, this little thing, you could have done this a little bit better. I'm still learning things. So, yeah, we accept everyone. Right now, we're offering huge discounts, 66% off. Tuition is normally going to be $3,000. If you sign up before November 1st, so October 31st, midnight, October 31st, we will, it's $1,000, and it saves you a spot. And, you get a year of training at the academy, 3 sessions a week. The sessions are going to be 2.5 to 3 hours long. Like I said, we'll be bringing in guest trainers. There's nutritionists on staff, certified personal trainers, everything that you need to mold you into a professional wrestling superstar.
That's very cool. And that's a nice story about Scott Hall, because, not like I've been around him a lot, but a few times, and had him on the show a few times, and he's a super nice guy, and he's always very helpful with everyone, which I don't think everyone realizes.
The thing about a lot of the veterans, I'm friends with these guys, Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Steve Austin, Bill Goldberg. They've done so much in the business. They've been so successful. They don't have to give anything back to the business, but they still do. They're still super passionate. When I was at WWE, when I was having my good run, Austin would call me weekly and say, kid, do this, do that. You should have done this. He would come to TV and sit down with me in catering. We'd plug in the tape from the night before, and he would pick apart my match, pause, see what you did right there. You could have done this differently. When you're talking to Vince, fuck with his collar, that kind of stuff. Straighten out his tie for him while you're talking to him. It's little shit like that that sets you apart. And, it's amazing. My point is that those guys don't have to offer anything, and they still do. And I love that, and I want to be that guy. I want to be, you always remember the people who are cool to you, and you always remember the people who are jerks. Mm-hmm. I would like to be the guy those are the guys that I look up to, that want to help guys get to the next level. I want to help people get to my level, or beyond.
Mm-hmm. That was very cool. And good luck with the wrestling school. And Davari's a great wrestler, and we've had him on the show many times, and he's a hell of a guy. So you got a really good group of trainers.
He's a dickhead. But
all right. Fair enough. Well, thanks for coming on. I hope to have you back sometime.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You have a good night.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, man, and you are listening to InYourHeadOnline.com. This is Sean Davari.